What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from Exotic Astrology, and today we are back with yet another example chart. Now, before beginning, as I always say, God is there with you all the time. Just look to Him and He will be there. Let us see this beautiful chart. This chart is of a female. She is a very good friend of mine, and she is currently a doctor in Guwahati, Assam, northeastern part of India. When we see this chart, I want to specifically highlight certain placements of planets. For example, if you see the significators of education, if you see the pointer here, I go to the first house. Always I say this is the first house, not the seventh house. These numbers are the zodiac numbers which are written. And these four houses which you see, they are the first, fourth, seventh, and 10th. If you do not know how to see the houses, then please go back to the playlist on astrology basics and refer to them. And before beginning, if I forgot to say that if you have still not subscribed, then please subscribe to my channel and share this video and the other videos with your family, friends, relatives, colleagues, and loved ones so that they can also be benefited by the divine signs of the scriptures. Now, which are the planets that signify education and intelligence? Especially, there are planets known as Mercury and Jupiter, as we all know, right? Here, Mercury and Jupiter are both having directional strength because they are situated in the first house itself. Because first house represents the head, and knowledge is very well situated when it is in the head. So whenever Jupiter or Mercury is placed in the first house, it is considered to be extremely auspicious for matters of education, intellect, wisdom, gaining knowledge, and abundance of intellectual prosperity. Now here, surprisingly, both of them are placed in the first house, which means one is materialistic knowledge, the other is Jupiter, which is spiritual knowledge. So Mercury, the planet of materialistic knowledge, and Jupiter, the planet of spirituality, is both in very powerful state. And from there, Jupiter, with its fifth aspect, aspects the fifth house, which is also the house of education, and it also aspects the seventh house of marriage, and it also aspects the ninth house of spirituality, which means Jupiter is going to bless the fifth, seventh, and the ninth houses with its three aspects. Okay, which is considered very auspicious. Any house to have Jupiter's aspect is considered to be very auspicious. Apart from this, Mercury is also there, so this person will have many friends. Okay, because Mercury represents friends. So whenever a planet is in Lagna, the significations of that planet come to you naturally, even without you doing anything or without doing much, to be precise. Now Mercury is sitting in the Lagna, which means that she will have lots of friends, and Jupiter is also in the Lagna, which means that she will also be connected to spiritual gurus, guides, and counselors without much effort. Apart from having directional strength in the first house, but here I am speaking of the Lagna exclusively because Lagna is the head. Whichever planet is sitting there is like sitting in your head. Apart from that, you see there are planets like Sun and Mars. Okay, and Sun is also extremely powerful in the first house, although it is debilitated here in Libra, but it is still in the first house, so it is still strong. Sun in Libra simply means that the person might need to seek validation from other people because Libra is the original seventh house of other people. The person needs to stay with somebody, and that is what this girl tells me, that she has difficulty staying alone, or she has difficulty staying without anybody. She needs some people around her to do things, and she has difficulty sleeping alone. Even if she's in the home, she wants that her mother should sleep beside her, or maybe somebody, some friend. Okay, now because Sun is the significator of the person who can pump out energy throughout the day, and when sun is debilitated, that shows that the person has a weak engine, so the person needs fire from others to fire himself or herself. Okay, and it is with Mars and Jupiter here. Now Sun Mars in the first house makes a person very hot-headed, very short-tempered, very angry, very fiery. Yes, because they both represent fire. And when both fiery planets are in the first house, which is the head, which means that there's a lot of fire in the head. There's tremendous fire, okay? And there's a tremendous anger, energy, and vitality in the body, which needs to be channelized properly. Otherwise, things can go haywire if this is not utilized properly, especially if people with Sun or Mars or Sun Mars together sits idle for a long time. They are inviting destruction. Now, here, the three best friends, Jupiter, Sun, Mars, are very well placed in the first house. And they always help each other, motivate each other. So, this girl's nature by default is very positive. Uh, she's always seeing ahead towards the future, not thinking of what did she lost, or not crying or criticizing. And Jupiter in the ascendant also makes the person very principled, and that is why she also dislikes speaking lies or doing wrong things which are not considered good. That is because of Jupiter's present. And Sun is also the significator of doing things which are right, which are correct as per the law, because Sun also represents the government, which means the person will abide by the laws and rules. Now, Mercury, Mars, and Sun in the first house can also mean that she can have a lot of male friends. Okay. Now, her moon is in the fifth house of children and education, etc. In the nakshatra of Shatabhisha. Now, what is Shatabhisha nakshatra? Shatabhisha nakshatra is the nakshatra which is related to the gods, 100 gods who are like doctors. Okay, so this person is a doctor, and I have suggested her to go towards domains which require unorthodox and different kinds of medicine, like something which is not very popular, or something which is hidden under the ground, or something which was left by somebody and then you are starting it again. Okay, it can be something like Ayurveda, etc. Because Aquarius is the sign of Saturn and Rahu. Saturn represents all things and Rahu represents those things which are buried inside. Okay, so that is the suggestion which I have given to her. Now we see a beautiful Mahapurush Yoga happening here in the fourth house when Saturn sits in the first, fourth, seventh, or 10th house in signs of Libra, Aquarius, or Capricorn. Then Saturn gets involved in a Mahapurush Yoga known as Sasha Mahapurush Yoga. So, this Sasha Mahapurush Yoga makes the person very hardworking, very determined, and it gives the native a large amount of power to digest poison and tolerate difficult situations in the life. Now, Saturn from the fourth house with its 10th aspect is aspecting the Lagna itself. Okay, so there will be humility in the person, although there are planets like Sun, Mars, which are also sitting there. So, this is kind of a double scenario. And now Mars with its fourth aspect is aspecting Saturn, and Saturn with its 10th aspect is aspecting Mars. So Saturn Mars conjunction or opposition or mutual aspect, because Mars aspects the fourth house from where it sits and Saturn aspects the 10th house. So here Mars and Saturn are aspecting each other. Saturn from the fourth with its 10th aspect and Mars from the first with its fourth aspect. And whenever Saturn Mars are linked in any way in the chart of any person, then the person is extremely hardworking, or rather I would say the person will need to be very hardworking, if especially this is happening right in the Lagna. without working hard, the person will not get anything in life. Okay. Now, apart from this, the lord of the ascendant, which is Venus, has gone to the 12th house. 12th house is what? 12th house is also the house of hospitals. Okay, so this will be very good for her if she wants to be a doctor. Now, only predicament is it is debilitated there. Now, Venus being the natural significator of love, romance, relationships, etc., is debilitated here in the sign of Virgo. Now, which also means that there can be some struggles in the relationships in the early phase of her life, or she can have certain breaks, which is very true because she has undergone some difficult times. And also 12th house in a negative way also represents the house of inner chambers, okay, because it is the bedroom. So whenever a planet, especially if a malefic is placed in the 12th house, for a woman it is not considered good. Or even if a good planet is situated, but if it is in a bad dignity, it is not still not considered to be very good. So there have been instances where she has been molested or sexually abused by some of her earlier partners. That is very sad here because of the debility which is caused by the placement of Venus in Virgo here. But nonetheless, that is not active anymore because now she is in a happy relationship with a good person. And if you see in this chart, Moon is in the fifth house. Fifth house is also the house of education, and here Moon for a Libra ascendant is also the 10th lord. So which also goes to say that the lord of the person, the house, the planet ruling the career, which is Moon, is placed in the fifth house. Along, apart from being the original Moon itself, which is the mind of the person. So that means not only this girl can be good as a doctor, but her she will have a lot of emotional fulfillment also by that. She will be very happy if she goes into this because Shatabhisha deals with surgery and different kinds of medicines because it represents the 100 healers. Okay, it's a nakshatra of healers which falls under Aquarius, and Shatabhisha itself is ruled by Rahu, and Rahu itself is sitting in the sign of Scorpio in the second house, which is also the house of Scorpio. It is also the zodiac sign of lost treasures and bringing things out of the ground. Okay, and apart from this, if I would have to say that there's a lot of spiritual inquisitiveness in the person because the lord of the ninth house, which is Mercury, and the ruler of the 12th house, which is also Mercury. 9 and 12 are core significators of spirituality, especially the ninth house. Both the rulers of the houses, ninth and 12th, are the same, and it is sitting right in the Lagna. So it is like ninth lord is in the Lagna, 12th lord is in the Lagna. So, and Jupiter is also in the Lagna. So the natural significator of spirituality, which is Jupiter, and the ruler of the ninth and the 12th is in the Lagna. Okay, which makes the person very much spiritually inclined, which she is definitely, there is no doubt. She is very much connected to, she likes to stay connected to God and people who are connected to spirituality, and she also visits the temples, and she also reads the scriptures, and she has other different avenues by which she can improve herself by getting connected to spirituality. Now, when I say this, you might say that, oh, in India there are so many people who go to temples and who uh, does ritual. But no, I'm not talking of those people here. I'm talking of people who are specifically inclined towards improving their spiritual identity. Okay, and this is one such chart. And also, sun is also the natural significator of light and enlightenment. Yes, so that is also placed there. So Sun, Jupiter, Mercury, Mercury being the ninth lord of spirituality, is placed there. Okay, and the Lagna has four planets, which means that her life will be very dynamic, and there will be a lot of demands from these people, especially the father, the brother, the children, and friends, because all four are sitting in the Lagna. Sun is the father, Mercury is friends, Mars is the brother, and Jupiter is the children. Now, here, Mars is also not very comfortable in the sign of Libra, okay, which goes to tell me that her brother can have certain challenges in his life, and which is also very true. Her brother is not very much inclined towards studies or having some goal in his life. He has a tendency to waste his time, okay, which happens when Mars is badly placed in a woman's horoscope, because in a woman's horoscope Mars represents the brother. Okay, so that is it from my side. That is all I wanted to say. So I would quote this chart as a chart which has a lot of spiritual potential because of Jupiter and Mercury's placement in the first house, of Mercury being the ruler of the ninth house itself and the 12th house, and Lagna Lord being placed in the 12th house of spirituality, and Moon being placed in the religious trines, the first, fifth, and the ninth house, and Sun, Mars, and Jupiter, all three friends being situated there, and Saturn aspecting the Lagna from the fourth house, making the person very practical and very realistic. At the same time, with lot of fire, a lot of anger, and a lot of passion, and a lot of hot-headed behavior. Okay, and the only thing this person needs to be careful. What would you suggest this person? Is that she should have a very clean diet, which is devoid of fiery foods, especially non-vegetarian food, because there's a lot of fire here in the body. This can cause destruction to bones, etc. And apart from that, because of Sun Mars placed with Mercury Jupiter, she can be too much fixed or stubborn with her ideals, or her beliefs, or what she thinks is right and wrong, which will cause difficulty in her life. Okay, so if I would suggest this girl that, if I would get a chance, I would suggest to her that try to be a bit liberal. Of course, this liberal nature will be there because it is in the sign of Libra, which itself represents liberation and, being balanced. But it is together with Sun Mars, and it is in the first house, so this nature will be strong. So this girl has to know to balance her ideals, and she has to learn to take the opinion of other people, which she does obviously. But if this harms her, then she has to learn to do that. Okay, so that is it from my side. If you have any questions, queries, and comments, then please let me know. Until next time, bye bye. See you.